Hello, Socrates at Saddlebrooke. Welcome to our exciting series on what it means to be human. Now, on one level, that might sound rather trivial because we know what it's like to be human. We are human, but we're going to take a deep dive below the surface today, way down to the cell level. 100 trillion cells in this body. Can you imagine? 200 different types, all cooperating at one time, instantaneously, to keep us alive. Now, at Socrates at Saddlebrooke, we like to think deeply about the big questions of life, particularly those about our origin and our destiny. We want to know, as human beings, how did we get here? What's our origin? And certainly we want to know where we're headed. What's our destiny? We even dare to ask why we're here. What's the meaning and purpose of our lives? Now, in part one of this section, we asked, are we just physical beings in material bodies? Or do we have an immaterial nature as well, a spiritual nature, a soul? Most everyone agreed after we talked that we have a spiritual nature. We do have something immaterial within us. But then we asked, is there any real scientific evidence, empirical evidence that supports an immaterial soul? That the soul actually exists and is not an illusion as modern biology would have us want to believe? So today in part two, we ask the next big question. Is life a completely unique phenomenon, unlike anything else in the universe? And if it is, how do we know that? What does it mean to be alive? Then the $64,000 question is, what is consciousness? How do we measure that? Now, from a physiological standpoint alone, being alive is a miracle. I mean, think about all the body and cell functions that must take place flawlessly every second just to take a jog. I will introduce you to a term that perhaps you've never heard before, homeostasis. Now, homeostasis is perhaps the most important concept in all of physiology. It's a mouthful to say, but when I describe what's going on right in your own body right now, you will recognize this immediately. Homeostasis is how all the cells and organs in our body stay alive. It's how all the various cells work in harmony to keep us alive. Each and every cell in our body, all 100 trillion of them, is alive. And when it dies, it's normally replaced. But when homeostasis is overwhelmed by the outside environment, guess what? That's when death occurs. Homeostasis is how our body knows how to stay alive and respond to the challenge of a changing environment, often hostile environment. Now, non-living things do not have homeostasis. Homeostasis is the difference between life and non-life. Once you understand this, you will then know, at least from a biological standpoint, what it means to be alive. Homeostasis tells us the fundamental difference between life and non-life, and between living and dying. In over 100 years now of intense laboratory experimentation and chemical evolution, biology has never found or even made a dent in explaining how dead chemicals, dead mud, could ever produce life. It's all been speculation and wishful thinking. In fact, this has been true since 1859 when Louis Pasteur proved that life only comes from life. It's never been shown to be otherwise. Today, science is actually demonstrating this at each and every turn, that a living cell has been pre-programmed to strive for existence. And this striving has been built into our bodies through designed systems and engineered feedback control mechanisms. Design and engineering is not accomplished by accidental processes, as evolution tells us, but it can be accomplished by intelligent design. So, by studying homeostasis, we understand the fundamental difference between life and non-life. We understand that life is a purposeful system, that it's been designed with adaptive control mechanisms. And when we look at the living cell from the outside and we peer in, And from an engineering standpoint, we can even determine by reverse engineering how that cell, what's going on inside that cell. But today we have a major problem in reporting these amazing results within the scientific academy. Their statement of faith forces us to explain this obvious, observable, scientific evidence for homeostasis in terms of Darwinian evolution and not from design. Did I hear you right, Stu? It forces you to explain it that way? Yes, you heard me correctly. Darwinian evolution has practiced under the ideology of materialism insists that research explain its results in terms of evolutionary biology and nothing else. Today you heard me take that opposing view and explain how homeostasis works in terms of teleological causes that are built into our survival mechanism. This explanation is not accepted by the Academy, however. Why? Because it testifies against the reigning ideology of materialism. So next time in part 3, I will explain how teleology and the systems engineering that's built into homeostasis explains living systems far better than evolutionary mechanisms. Now, by telling you this, I once again will be expelled from the Academy. Remember when I had to resign my position at the Institute and retire my lab coat because of my view on my position on junk DNA and epigenetics? At that time, I showed that intelligent design predicted that the so-called junk DNA was not evolutionary junk at all. It all had a purposeful function. And now, in the past 10 years, this view has been shown to be beyond dispute. But the reigning dogma in the Academy can't accept the new evidence, so it hurls invectives and expels those who disagree with their dogma. I told this story in my video cast part 4 and 5, so check it out. Now, because of my view on teleology, I will be shunned once again and put into the scientific heretic category, what they call pseudoscience. Check that out in Wikipedia. But what I am teaching is only what all naturalists and biologists before Darwin logically saw in nature for thousands of years. And today, scientific evidence has shown that common sense and observational truth is in view. Remember, Darwin specifically set out to disprove teleology by theorizing that nature alone, through random variation and natural selection, that's what evolution is, could do the job all by itself. In my view, and increasingly among the views of top biologists, Darwinism is a failed theory. But if you want to make a living in biology today, you better toe the line with the Academy or don't bother to apply for the job. Fortunately, in my case, I have more than a sufficient number of research clients who agree with me, so I can keep bread on the table. As you recall, when I supported intelligent design, I was branded, quote, a creationist in a cheap tuxedo. Now I will be branded a vitalist because of my view on teleology. Remember Hester Prynne in your high school novel, The Scarlet Letter? She was shunned by her community for her inappropriate behavior. Remember she had to wear a scarlet A on her garments, branding her as an adulteress. Well, we teleologists are unfairly shunned and branded with a V for vitalists, even when talking straight science and not ideology. Now, vitalist means someone who believes that there's more to life than dead chemicals. Now, that can be viewed as spooky, like a ghost in the machine, or it can be very scientific by showing that the empirical and repeatable scientific evidence reveals it. I'm opting for the empirical definition, but that won't matter much in the Academy because to them it's taboo to speak about teleology, period. So, here's what's going to happen. I have to wear a scarlet V. I'll show you. Here it is, right here. I'm supposed to put this on now, and its purpose is to tell you and all those that what I'm saying is not to be listened to pay attention to what I'm saying. I might even have to drink coffee from my special Vitalist cup here. Now, of course, I'm just kidding. Being shunned by the community is one thing, wearing a scarlet V is another thing. But actually, don't worry about me. I'm making twice as much money now as when I was working inside the academy. And I certainly enjoy my work a lot more. Eventually, here's what happens in science. Truth and evidence, data, always wins out. So just hang in there. That's what's happening now with teleology and intelligent design. Darwinism is tired, spent theory. Even the top evolutionary biologists know this and are searching vigorously for a replacement. Within the academy, however, most new theories are just extensions and modifications of neo-Darwinism. We just keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again until some change, like Einstein and relativity or Max Planck and quantum mechanics, comes along. Well, that's going to happen in biology too. The most productive and exciting research programs today are spawned by the new discoveries of epigenetics, which I talked about in part 1. And that's what happens. The new generation comes along. They want to do the exciting stuff. They want to find out what's research programs that are there, have goals and funding that will show exciting results. So there's new disciplines, one of which is intelligent design. The other one's system biology, systems engineering, information sciences. They're all employing the teleological point of view and making real advances that way. And the intelligent design movement, which is a totally new scientific paradigm, is grounded in these new disciplines, and it's steadily gaining influence. Its increasing acceptance over the last 20 years is because of its scientific validity and its research vitality. So, until next time, I'm Stuart Orr, encouraging you to think deeply about matters of life and death. Research the evidence for yourself. Don't allow others to think for you or for your children or for your grandchildren. Follow the evidential trail to wherever it leads you.